This is going to be a terrific game. Oh, nice shots.
Goal there. That does the job.
It's a beautiful shot.
That's hit beautifully.
The atmosphere here is electric. That'll certainly get him going.
Feel so alive.
You're able to see the monitor, do you see? Hi everybody, and a warm welcome to the second Momentum One Day International from Kingsmead in Durban. A glorious day here, not a cloud in the sky. Breeze coming across this famous old ground, and I'm out in the middle ready for the toss. Remember, Pakistan won up in the series, a brilliant performance in the first game. They restricted the South Africans, making it very hard for even a player of Hashim Amla's quality to force the pace, and then chase down that to 260-odd, and deservedly have gone ahead in the series. As I say, the captains are out here in the middle with me. Ranjan Madigali is the match referee. The mascot, the Proteer, is here. Safraz and Faf. It's the red carpet toss, Faf.
Heads is the call. It is tails of South Africa.
So South Africa win the toss again.
We're going to bowl first.
A bit of life in the pitch?
Doubt it, but generally the wicket a little bit slow during the day, and then at night it skids on a little bit better for batting.
And all in all, it was a confusing performance, I thought, the other day.
Yeah, a bit rusty. Obviously haven't played, I suppose, not played one-day cricket for a while. You could see that we weren't quite at our best. Great position with the bat, you know, to be one down at 35, 36 overs. Normally in those occasions you can kick on. So we've spoken really what can we do better in those situations. And then with the ball, I thought we brought it back nicely after the start they had, and then just plans-wise at the back we could have been a little better.
I imagine that building to a World Cup, you want all forms of cricketing experience in this format to sort of be in front of you now rather than during the World Cup.
I think especially for the inexperienced guys or the younger players in your squad, that you are trying to pump as much experience into them as possible, and experience is not always winning, and good experiences. There needs to be those bad days and bad losing experiences, because I think you learn quite nicely from them and quickly. The nice thing for us is today is another opportunity. Most of the guys are playing again. We've got two changes. We're bringing in Patterson for Pretorius, and then Shamsi for Tahir, once again looking ahead at the World Cup, making sure that we're looking both after our spinners, and then also beefing up the bowling attack a little bit. Probably a little bit one-dimensional during the middle there, 120 to 130 guys bowling in tandem. So hopefully Pato can make a difference today.
Okay, I hope you get a knock.
Me too.
Okay, thanks, Faf. Safraz, well done. What a good performance the other day.
Yes, a very good complete performance, so confidence is very high.
All right. What have you done? You've made two changes, I think.
Yes, we made two changes. One is Usman Shanwari is not playing for Shaheen Shah is in, and Imad Wasim is not playing. Hussain Talaj is playing first match today.
Okay, now, with it being your first win in international cricket on the tour, presumably the dressing room was suddenly lifted.
Yeah, definitely, the dressing room momentum is very high. Players are very confident. Batsmen are batting performing well. Players are bowling well. So confidence is very high for in this match.
All right. We wish you well. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we've got Sean Pollock and Ramiz Raja with me out in the middle, and we're going to have a look at the teams. We'll start off with Pakistan. Ramiz, tell us about those two changes.
Yeah, I mean, one is a forced change because Shinwari obviously was half fit. So you've got Shaheen Shah Afridi, which is a good choice actually, because looking at this pitch, he'll get it to bounce. He's tall fellow, he's pretty quick as well. So left armour replacing a left armour. And Hussain Talaj is an all-round cricketer. He bats, he bowls. He was here playing the T20 league in South Africa. So that experience will help Pakistan to develop a theme with him.
And massive, I mentioned it to Safraz, but massive energy and momentum from the win, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they play this structured limited overs cricket really well because the brief has been described and they follow that brief. And yeah, I mean, they didn't panic in their run chase, which was important for Pakistan. Normally they panic, and if a wicket goes down or a couple of wickets fall, then they start to struggle. But we didn't see that from Pakistan. So there's a lot of self-belief and momentum, and got to take it forward now.
All right, this South African side, you heard Faf saying, you know, we need to see people.
They do, and I think they went down a strategy of having the 4 seamers, and that really played dividends for them in the middle overs to be able to pick up wickets. So no surprise that they've gone to Patterson, maybe to beef things up from a bowling perspective. He said they were too one-dimensional with the 2 seamers operating around 130. A little bit of a surprise that they've taken Tahir out. Yes, I understand they want to have a look at Shamsi, but I think it's quite an important game to try and get back in the series, try and make level up, and he is rated in the top 3 in the world bowling ranks. So I'm a little bit surprised by that, but no surprise that they keep the batsmen the same and try and do the job here in Durban.
Okay, a few people on the planet have your experience on this surface. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a strange surface that we've got here. We've got 2 grasses that they use in Durban. This is Bayview grass that we stand here on. The Bayview grass is alongside, but this is called the Kingsmead grass, and it's a very coarse grass, and you can see how dry it's gone and how brown it's gone. It's probably not going to come on all that nicely. You'll probably get a steepish bounce and be a little bit slow. And once they've started with the initial ball going outside the off stump, they'll go very straight, and it can be difficult to work at square of the wicket, and you will get some turn off this one as well. It was never my favourite grass. We had it on the end of the strips, and we didn't play on it at all. But they brought one to the middle, and they've decided to go with it. But it is coarse, it's quite matted, it's quite thick, so it will play its part. Probably going to see a lot of cross-seam deliveries as well. Batsmen, once you get in on it, you can actually stand and deliver. It's almost like one of those grounds where it's a bit of a trampoline effect when you're looking to hit over the top. It bounces nicely into the bat, and you can whack it out the ground. Weather-wise, maybe, just maybe, some rain between 8 and 9 this evening. It doesn't look like it now, but if that wind turns around,
believe it, could you? But we know about that tide coming in too, don't we? Never mind just the rain. Okay, let's take us back to the game the other day in Port Elizabeth. You know, there were definitely aspects of the game that surprised us. I touched on it with Faf. You don't want to push him just before going out to play a match, but there are issues with the side who gets 266 for 2, and Pakistan's response was very competent. I mean, there were upsides. We're going to talk about Hashim actually in segment 2 of this preview. There were good parts to his innings as well as less good parts.
Yeah, there were. I think he started off really well. I mean, I think he felt it got quite slow, so it was difficult to work it around. And obviously, he was batting with a debutant at the time, Van der Dussen, so it was difficult for him to force him in order to play too many shots. But they didn't really go. I think they were maybe 20, 30 short. I think that was a massive issue for them. But it was good to see Hashim back in form. He touched on it after he finished his innings, saying he hasn't got 100 for 15 months, so it was nice to get that 3-figure score. And important even for an experienced campaigner to find some form before heading to that World Cup. South Africa, from the other batting side, they didn't really get too many fireworks at the back end. Pakistan bowled pretty well. And then I think South Africa started decently, but maybe that's the reason why there's a change. Dane Patterson in the middle overs, he might have that ability to pick up wickets, run through people in the middle order and try and have more of an impact. So it was a little bit of a surprise, but Hashim played pretty well, 108 off 120. But I think in the context of the game, maybe just not quick enough.
There we go, Hashim Amla, an awful lot of singles, but as I say, we're going to talk about this in more detail and analyse that wagon wheel with Graham Smith and Michael Holding in a moment. Rassie van der Dussen, interesting debut, had very positive signs, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him shape well, not under pressure, and the only issue he had was with leg spin, and with a bit of spin where you take the pace off the ball, he tended to struggle just a little bit. But when he was up for that big shot, he cleared the front leg and hit those big sixes, and so looked the part, and so very good find at number 3. I think Hashim Amla needed just amp it up a little, just to release pressure of the youngster, but indication is that he's in for a long time in one-day cricket.
Do you think he's played himself in contention for a World Cup slot?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, he's got an opportunity because Quinton de Kock didn't play, and there's Reza Hendricks who would come down to 3, and there's Aiden Markram. It's going to be 2 of those 3. He's definitely thrown his name in the hat. It's almost though, does he have enough experience? Would you take someone to the World Cup who's only got maybe 6 or 7 one-day internationals under his belt if he's not heads and shoulders above the guy who's more experienced? I think that might be counting against him, but he's done what he could do. He got a debut, he got into the 90s, and he's going to have another chance today.
Yeah, his leg side play was really impressive.
I was going to say, he's got right hand, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Bottom hand and through
player.
mid-wicket and square leg was extremely impressive.
I think that the great thing is temperament above anything else. If I was trying to pick something out of a young player, yes, they've all got all the strokes these days, but it's coping with the big occasion. Once you put the South African cap on, it's a different game, huh?
It is, and Reza Hendricks did beautifully there to get South Africa off to a good start. And he's a guy who's also debuted earlier this season, so he hasn't got a wealth of experience behind him, but he seems to be growing into his role. And even when he goes back onto the domestic scene now, he starts to dominate. He really puts bowling attacks under pressure. So I think he's already on the right the right curve, and I think he's going to achieve well for South Africa going forward.
Okay, so two promising aspects there in Hendricks and Van der Dusen. Now the Pakistan run chase, very competent. I mean, led by Imam ul-Haq, who has proven, I think, to be much more than just a sort of anchor test match batsman.
Yeah, I thought he paced the innings beautifully because they saw off the threat with the new ball. It was a 45-run opening partnership that released the pressure, must have, and then Imam ul-Haq played the pull shots, the drives, and then went out of the crease and hit the ball straight and hard for sixes as well. It was authority and calmness, which was quite impressive, and he had a plan, and it was executed beautifully. That was a very, very strong. Just sending the message to South Africa that, you know, we were hurt, we were dominated in the test series against the short ball, not anymore.
It was nice to also see them playing with a bit more freedom than they did in the Test series. They were a little bit bogged down, weren't sure how they should go about it. They get to the one-day arena, you say to them, okay, pull the trigger, play the shots, get on with it. And both him and even Fakhar Zaman up front, it looked a much better prospect.
Okay, Mohammed Hafiz saw it through. Gifted, isn't he? Experienced and gifted.
We're sitting here and going through the Pakistan side in PE, and we said, look in the middle order, you've got all that experience. Yeah. And they are gifted players. Both him and Malik are fantastic players. And I think if you'd gone with the same test batting lineup, they wouldn't have got over the line there. But with his wealth and experience and his ability that he has to stay calm under the pressure situation, meant that they got home. And I think that's such a key important to have those guys at 4 and 5 is a big plus for the Pakistan team.
I thought his aggression was timely as well. You know, when Pakistan needed a big shot, it was produced by Hafiz, and he found the fence. And in the middle order, you need somebody who can get you singles, rotate the strike, and also when it matters, hit a ball for a six.
I can't go any review of Pakistan batting without at least a mention of Babar Azam. There's no doubt that of the modern players, his style, his correctness and his authority is so exciting.
Yeah, very good. That straight drive was lovely shot. And I mean, his balance is very good. And he can play the pull shot as well. And his record is phenomenal. I mean, he averages, over 50 in one-day internationals. And he scored runs against all oppositions. And so this is an important tour for him because he's a young kid. And so these runs will help him to grow.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, I think if he goes back to the hotel room, he's going to wonder to himself, how did I miss that delivery? Part-time offspring to drag down on 49. I don't think he'll be able to work it out because the rest of his innings looked so good, and that was so bad.
Well, that's the beauty of bringing on a part-time bowler, I guess. You confuse even the best players. And on the subject of confusion, we've mentioned already with Faf that South Africa did look confused with the bat the other day. Here's Hazy with some further thoughts.
Okay, Mark, just a couple of things to look at in the touchscreen in the comm box. The first one, a stats attack. Have a look at this. Pakistan's victory, look at this stat. Pakistan's victory in the first game in PE was the first time in their history they won a one international despite only taking 2 wickets. Then if we also have a look at this, South Africa's 266 for 2 was the lowest total since the 1992 World Cup for a team that faced 50 overs and only lost 2 wickets. So that they're quite extraordinary stats we never associate with South Africa. The last one I want to look at here is their win percentages at various venues in South Africa. And it's a minimum of 5 matches, by the way. And as you can see here, they've played very well in PE, and they proved that in the last game. Durban, they played pretty well as well. Look at that, 62.5 win percentage rate. Now, let's say they win the first 2. I'm just going to look forward here. Win the first 2. They played pretty well to South Africa at SuperSport Park. So that's an advantage there for South Africa. They also play pretty well in Johannesburg. That's the pink day, so that's 11.11 in Johannesburg. It could all go down to this one in Cape Town to be a final decider. But the thing we're focusing at the moment, of course, is the fact that they play so well in Durban as well as PE, and it's going to be a little bit of a tough one for South Africa, and they really do have to pull their socks up. Right, Mark, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Hazy. I think you're right, they do. They've chosen to bowl first on this very dry-looking, sort of rough-looking Kingsmead surface. It'll be interesting to see how it plays. Yeah, that's the news here. South Africa are bowling. We're going to a short break. More analysis when we come back. But on our way to that break, a little bit of Crystal Arnold and Andile Phehlukwayo.
Making his franchise debut 5 years ago, big-hitting all-rounder Andile Phehlukwayo has, with the Proteas, toured countries like England, Australia, New Zealand and Sri Lanka. But it's Kingsmead that he calls home. At just 22 years of age, with over 30 ODIs under his belt, there's still so much more to come.
Phehlukwayo does it in style. Smashed out the ground. South Africa still alive.
Hi, I'm Phehlukwayo from the Standard Proteas team. I'm the shy one and the quiet one. I think I realized that cricket would be my future, or future career in a sense, in high school. I first played my first Dolphins game in high school. When I was in matric, I was lucky enough to be selected for the team that's going to Champions League.
Oh, young man's got a hold of that, has he? Yeah, he has.
At that moment, I realized that this is what I want to do, and I want to represent my country. I want to represent the people that are back at home, and just represent myself at the end of the day. I think one of the places that really stand out for me that I've been to is probably England. The city that I really enjoyed was London. I think it suited my personality. The people, they were quite cool, they're quite open, they're diverse. Going to the museums there, the train rides, the taxis that they take there, it's a different experience, and it's something that I really did enjoy, and I'd go there on holiday any day. Favorite stadium will probably be Newlands. I think also the history that it has with the mountain, the view. One of the best crowds that I've played under. The people there are really welcoming. I think when I walk down the stairs there and it's closer to playing a day and night game, and it's called Golden Hour when the sun is just about to go down, and the view is just unbelievable. It's one of the stadiums that I really do enjoy playing at, and it's basically my favorite stadium. To be specific, I think it'll be going over long on will be my favorite shot and my go-to shot. And if I had to be bowling in the World Cup final and the last ball I had to bowl would be a Yorker, that's definitely one of the balls I'll go to. Between a Yorker and a slow ball.
The atmosphere here is electric. That will certainly get him going.
So alive, you make me feel so alive.
Kingsmead in Durban, the second Momentum one-day international. Pakistan won up in the series after a pretty good performance in Port Elizabeth. Having said that, as has been discussed widely in the days since, the South Africans not at their best with the bat. I've always felt it was more difficult setting up a one-day game when you bat first to get the pace of your innings right than it is when you're chasing, because of course the target is set and you have to respond to it. And certainly Graham Smith and Michael Holding, I think, would agree with me that you have to be, you have two types of player. That you have the natural chasers and you have those that set up the game. And generally Hashim has been pretty competent at both, but he didn't quite have his mojo, did he?
No, he didn't, and I think a lot has been said post the game. I think it was a disappointing finish to the South African innings. I had no issue with the first 25 overs of batting and how South Africa went about it. I think they set the game up well, they read the surface, they laid the platform, but it was from 25 to 50 that I found myself a little bit baffled in the decision-making. I found that there was no real intent from, in particular, Hashim. And so you have to ask questions. Was it his thinking? Did he read the surface badly? Was it a fitness issue? Did he get tired? So I think hopefully they would have learned some lessons and some hard conversations would have been had, because when you're in those positions you shouldn't be losing games.
Do you think, Michael, that when you've been a little out of form, as he has, that it's possible you get stuck in that world of determination to make 100 and get yourself back into form and remind everybody of your gifts?
It is possible, Mark, but I don't think Hashim Amla is that sort of a person. I think Hashim Amla will be someone that would go out there and do whatever he thought was necessary for his team. I think he just wasn't able to do it on this occasion. Hashim Amla is a very good player, and he played a very good knock. But under the circumstance, you would have expected that, okay, at this point, now say 35 overs. I think Polly made the point also on here. The last 15 overs, you have 9 wickets in hand, you're not going to get bowled out. Have a go. Don't just bat normally. Have a go. If you lose some wickets, fine. You're better off 290 all out than 270 for 3 or 4 or anything like that. And I think that is just where they went wrong. I don't think Hashim was concentrating on 3 figures. And people have also mentioned the batting order. Perhaps, okay, they have a debutant coming in at number 3. Perhaps they could have been thinking, let us send someone that's going to be a little bit more dynamic. Not that he wasn't dynamic, but someone more dynamic that could go out there and push it a little bit more when Hashim was at the crease.
Yes, I mean, that's an interesting point, isn't it, about Van der Dusen's place in that partnership, in that he was left with a lot of the responsibility for the run rate, even though Hashim had started at a good strike rate of 90.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key for me, there was a drinks break around the 33rd or 34th over, and it was clear that a message came out that one of them needs to take it on, and that was Van der Dusen. He came out straight away from the drinks break, tried to hit a few boundaries, but Hashim, just really never showed any intent in his innings. I mean, I remember clearly the 45th over, him just tucking one and trotting to the other side. It's that intent to want to take the game on. As Mikey and Polly have said, when you can't get bowled out, rather be 290 for 8, giving it a full go, showing that you're looking to get the best possible total, than the way that it happened in the last sort of 10 or 15 overs. And I think that's raised the question mark. And also raises the question mark, is the World Cup hanging over a few players' head? Is that push for selection in the final 15, is that hanging on a few players' heads? And I think that's the important question that they need to answer here today.
Yeah, it's a slightly wider picture that's before them, and also, Mikey, perhaps of the South African batting lineup. They're still not absolutely sure what their best front 6 is.
Yeah, I think Quinton de Kock will definitely play once he's 100% fit.
Yes.
And I think that could have helped the situation as well. If Quinton de Kock had opened the batting and he was batting well, Hashim Amla's innings would have been a fantastic knock, because Quinton de Kock would have scored his runs a lot quicker. And they would have said he stabilized the innings and everybody else around him played the shots. It just a matter that Quinton de Kock did not play, so Hashim Amla needed to acknowledge that, assess the situation and say, okay, perhaps I need to be a little bit more aggressive. I am the senior man, let me try and be a little bit more aggressive.
Nice pictures here as the players come out to the middle with their maskets for the anthem ceremony. I suppose, Graham, it's still a long way off, isn't it? There's a lot of cricket to be played. There's a series against Sri Lanka, there's practice matches. Is there a danger that people get too fraught at this early stage?
Well, I mean, I think individual players that are on the fringe, everyone wants to be a part of the World Cup. I found myself in that situation back in 2003 as a young man. Everyone will want to be in that World Cup. It's an iconic event and you want to be there. But it's a long build-up, and I feel at the moment it's complicating some of the stuff within the South African lineup, and I see today the selection's a bit different, and a couple of other combinations. I feel that it's just maybe tangling their brain a little bit. They need to just keep it simple. Players need to find a way to get rid of the shackles and put in their performances with the intent needed to win games now. Okay. Yes, you can try combinations, but it's the way you go about it and the way you play.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The news from Kingsmead is the toss has been won by Faf du Plessis. The South Africans will bowl first, and the two teams are now out on the pitch for the anthems.
What
Just a word from you, Graham, on the South African bowlers. They've chosen to take the new ball first up here. Dwayne Olivier not finding it easy the other day under pressure in the run chase.
Well, he's on his debut, so he's got to learn how to handle certain situations that are thrust his way. South Africa, giving Patterson a chance today. It looks like a funny sort of surface. I expect it to be slow and to stand a little bit. So, he's going to be tested. The leadership of Du Plessis is going to be tested. It'll be interesting to see how Shamsi goes, the front line spinner today.